無双の風死にだ。
眠るな。諦めて。それ。
さよなら。
Hey there folks, today's Genshin Impact video is going to show you how to hit 100k ults with your Hu Tao even at C0. I've seen so many videos where Hu Tao is hitting 100k or 200k ultimates, and I think to myself, I want to do that, but I don't have Staff of Homa, and I'm not a whale with infinite resources to pour into this game. Some of the players that are using these big numbers just have absolutely maximized builds, are using food or the Spiral Abyss to boost their numbers to ridiculous levels. I wanted to see if I could create a similar effect on a semi-consistent basis. So let's check out the team I've concocted to bring the best out of my Hu Tao. Okay, so here is our lovely Hu Tao. She's currently sitting at roughly 1200 attack and a measly 56 elemental mastery. Looking a bit deeper, we can see she is working with about 70% crit rate and a beautifully even 180% crit damage. And thanks to her artifacts and her talent Sanguine Rogue, she can get up to 48% pyro damage bonus without having pyro damage bonus as a main stat on her goblet. P.S. For Sanguine Rogue to be active, Hu Tao will need to be at or less than 50% HP, so for future reference, Hu Tao should always be at or less 50% HP. For her weapon, we have her on the Deathmatch. This is the only part of the build that is a bit pay to win. However, other weapons you can use that will work well here are the 3-star Black Tassel that gives HP as its main stat, along with attack percent, and Dragon's Bane, which will increase pyro damage bonus and your elemental mastery. I use Deathmatch simply for the crit rate. If you don't have it, you will only lose the consistency of your damage. So if you have Deathmatch, then go for it, but if you don't, it won't stop you from being able to hit these numbers. It will only be a little less consistent. As for artifacts, I'm running a 2-piece Crimson Witch and a 2-piece Tenacity of the Millilith. The Millilith 2-piece set makes up for the lack of Staff of Homa, and the Crimson Witch is an obvious must considering the damage profile of Hu Tao being almost entirely pyro. For the flower, we're looking at crit rate and damage as well as a beautiful 14.6 HP percent bonus. And the flower may be the best artifact I have across all my characters. Good crit rate and damage, a solid energy recharge, and attack. Just beautiful. Now this timepiece is obviously not perfect, but after nearly 2 weeks of farming in that domain, this is the first HP Sands in Millilith that I got, so I was happy to take it and move on with my life. On the goblet, we're also running HP main stat. This goblet also contains all the elemental mastery Hu Tao has, for now. A little crit rate and a lot of energy recharge, and even a bit of flat HP. Lastly, the circlet is our off-piece, running a 62.2% crit damage with energy recharge, HP, and 9% crit rate. It rounds out a very solid set in my opinion. Hu Tao's skill at talent level 7 gives 5.3% of her HP as attack, bringing her attack up to a whopping 3101. This is the most important part of making Hu Tao's damage as big as it is. If you are going to use your ultimate, you better have your skill active, or your damage will be butts. I usually use the skill immediately before ulting so I can get good value out of the skill after the ult, assuming anything survives. For Hu Tao's talents, we have her at 8, 7, and 7. Her ultimate is already cracked, so I decided to prioritize her basic attacks. That way she could deal good damage with charge attacks after her ultimate. Now let's take a quick look at the team that makes this all possible. The team that will be helping us achieve these numbers is as follows: Bennett, Rosaria, Hu Tao herself, and Sucrose. The Pyro Resonance increases attack of the party by 25%, further allowing us to focus on HP in Hu Tao's build. Rosaria is the physical DPS and is able to apply Cryo and increase Hu Tao's crit rate by 15% when she uses her ult. Sucrose is the linchpin of this team. With her, we can apply the Viridescent 4-piece debuff to enemies, and give Hu Tao the elemental mastery she is lacking to increase her melt damage. As mentioned before, Hu Tao has a miserable 56 elemental mastery, only increasing her melt damage by 10.7%. With Sucrose's talents, she can increase her party's elemental mastery by swirling. After a swirl from Sucrose, Hu Tao's elemental mastery goes up to 217, further increasing melt damage by 27% for a total of 37%. As for the team's constellations, I have C6 Bennett, C3 Rosaria, C0 Hu Tao, and C6 Sucrose. You can make this team work with none of the constellations, but having C1 Sucrose is nice for setting up the melt reaction that we're going for. P.S. Sucrose has been on a bunch of banners, so if you have C6, there is a bit more elemental damage in her last constellation. I didn't even notice it until after I started writing this script. Okay, now we've set up Hu Tao and the team for success. Let's quickly run through the skill order that we will be performing. Start with Bennett on the field. We will use Bennett's skill, then switch to Sucrose. Use her skill, twice if you have C1. Then switch to Rosaria and ult. Finally, switch to Hu Tao, use her skill, and then ult. That's the combo. Now let's break it down. Bennett's skill will affect your target with Pyro. Sucrose's skill will swirl with the Pyro. This is doing two things simultaneously. The swirl activates the Viridescent Venerer 4-piece set bonus, decreasing the enemy's resistance to Pyro damage by 40% for 10 seconds. The swirl also gives elemental mastery to her party members, increasing the damage of our final reaction. Sucrose's second skill will refresh the enemy's affliction, allowing Rosaria to inflict cryo easier. If you don't have C1, use Sucrose's skill and switch to Rosaria. You'll have to use her ultimate and wait for the enemy to only be affected by cryo. The second pulse of her ult should do it. And lastly, switching to Hu Tao, using her skill at or less than 50% HP and ulting immediately after will allow the ult to proc the initial melt reaction. If you follow the skill order, it should look a little something like this. With these tips, you should be able to create those 6-digit clips you've seen whales do with 0 constellations, and you don't even need food or staff of Homa. If you guys enjoyed the video or learned something new about the game, consider liking the video and subscribing. I'm still pretty new here on YouTube, so any support is greatly appreciated. I do also stream just about every day over on twitch.tv/Razamuphu, link in the description if you want to check me out over there. P.S. I use a face cam so you guys can see how pretty I am. Alrighty then. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Ba 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 ba.